My mom was brought in from. I kind of go back a little bit. She was brought from Germany when she was about 14 or 15 years old. Brought in from Germany in a cattle car by the German Nazis, and uh, and she was brought in a cattle car into the that concentration camp to where they brought all the Jews and into that death camp. They found out that she was a baker's daughter and that she knew on how to cook and bake. So they put her into a concentration camp to where she would cook and bake for the Nazi officers. Well, and I guess that's where she was at. Well, over there at that concentration camp, I guess she met a Sicilian. Uh, I don't know whether he was a soldier or whether he was a political prisoner, but well, I guess they kind of fell in love, and well, anyway, but eventually, I guess I'll call him Dad. Well, she ended up pregnant, and but still, the camp commander found out that she was pregnant, so he took her as his personal uh, chef, as a cook and baker, into his household at off, outside of the concentration camp. So she would cook and bake for him, and at nighttime she would come back into the concentration camp. Well, as time goes on, my biological father, he escaped the concentration camp, and he was killed. He was shot and killed outside of the concentration camp just 1 week, one or a little bit more, 1 week before I was born. He was killed. So, so even up to this time, I don't know what he looks like. Uh, I don't know anything about him. My mom kept on telling me that the only thing you ought to know is you you carry his name. So here I am. I mean, at my age right now, that's all I know about him is, I carry his name. They brought families together back in there. This was after the war, so hopefully to bring families back together again. My mom got remarried again, and then they shipped families out to different areas of Germany, especially they when they asked them, did you want to go back to Poland or did you want to stay in Germany? So my parents said, and my stepfather said that they rather stay in Germany. They gave him a small farm, a house, place to live at, and so they put him into a American sector. So they provided them like a chicken farm, and where they actually produced uh, the eggs for the military itself. So, and actually that's you know, so my parents, at least they made a living on there. But as years went by, they got a chance to uh, to do paperwork to go into Luxembourg, Germany, and do the paperwork because were asked if we want to immigrate to United States. So they did do the paperwork, but my dad found out that a lot of his friends lived in Chicago because they actually wanted to send us into Texas. So actually, we ended up in Chicago. We moved to Chicago. I started going to St. Hedwig's School on the north side in Chicago, on Shakespeare Street near Western Avenue. But that's where I started. That's where I started going to school, and I knew a little bit of English. I started out in fourth grade, which was really hard on me because from the German language, which I knew pretty good, into English language, and the hardest part was for me was is the mathematics, the math itself, and because everything was metric in Germany, and over here was plain just math, and I had to relearn all that. And so actually, a lot of things were real hard for me. But anyway, I made it through. Made it through, and graduated grammar school. Went into high school, and that's why I started going really. It was kind of crazy going on, because one of the hardest part is English. The English, the course English itself, not the language, but the English itself, the nouns, pronouns, and adjectives, and I had a very hard time about it, and I could not graduate because that, in senior high school, I could not graduate unless I had to take English. So I had to go to summer school to learn English. I mean, not to learn English, but I had to do that course before I got my diploma. I did have a paper route. I delivered Sun-Times and a Tribune early in the morning, which I used to get up around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And which I really liked is the tips, because I made more than what was actually I had to turn in. So I used to keep that. I used to keep that underneath my pillow or underneath the mattress. Well, once I got into about sophomore high school, because I used to save that. I used to put it underneath there, and there had to be like $300 or $400, and that was a lot of money back then, back in the '60s. Oh, besides that, I also worked in the pet shop too, $1 an hour. So, but anyway, this was on Friday. On Saturday morning, I wake up and I'm looking for the money, and the envelope was gone. And the only one that I could have taken it was my stepdad. So I go see my mom. I said, somebody took my money. And my stepdad is, well, he was an alcoholic. He was drunk. He'd do anything for $1, to go and get booze and just to stay drunk. So I never got that. I never got that money back. But my mom used to get money back from Germany because she was in a concentration camp. The German government paid so much money for her, like a restitution. So she had so much money in the bank already. She said, I will give that to you. I said, no, just forget about it. But in the meantime, I used to get beaten up by my stepdad. There was one time where when I graduated got my diploma and all, I was across the street because we lived in the basement. A lot of my friends from school, they were going to meet over there. So I was over there, and we were off to the side, and we were just talking, and my stepdad, I guess he seen me over there, and he came over there, and he was drunk. And he came over from behind me, and all of a sudden he just started pounding on me from behind me, knocked me on the ground, and he was kicking me left and right. And a bunch of the guys, they didn't know who he was, so they actually started pounding away on him. And some of the guys, they helped me up, and they said. And I told him, I said, no, just leave him alone. Let him go. He's not worth it. From that time, from that moment, I told him, I said, I looked at him, I said, from now on, I'm not coming home no more. I didn't go home until Monday morning, and I told my mom, I said, I'm not coming home again. From there, I went to a recruiting station, and I talked to the recruiting sergeant, and I told him I want to go into the Army as soon as possible. I said, I want to leave this week if possible. I don't know, I hadn't realized what I was asking for because I knew I should have realized because my trip was going to be Vietnam pretty soon. I came back on Friday, went through the process. I took my oath and stayed there. And then in the evening, we marched over to the Union Station. And in the evening, we got on the train. And I actually, with the train all the way down to Fort Knox, Kentucky. Once I was there, I was, well, the drill sergeant really didn't face me that much because with my stepdad always like yelling at me and beating on me, pushing me, which I felt better than I was at home because the drill sergeant never touched us, never pushed us around, and I mean he never laid hands on me, you know, or any of us. He just yelled at us, and being yelled, I mean, so I went to door gunner school. So I became a door gunner. Well, I still didn't know. We forgot about the Vietnam, you know, because Vietnam at that time still wasn't that hot. So from there, they sent me to Fort Dix, New Jersey, the radio operator school. From there, over there, I had to learn the Morse code, the beep, 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 you know. I had to learn that. So as I was learning that, the people from the Special Forces, the Green Beret, I was called in if I wanted to be a Green Beret. I said, why not? That means I would have to go to airborne school, and I mean, sure. I mean, because like the recruiting sergeant told me, you know, go to as many schools as possible. I mean, if they offer it to you, which would make it better because the more schools you have, the better for you. I mean, that would make you more valuable. So, well, and then all of a sudden, one, I believe he was an officer, he said, well, we can't have you. He said, because you're not a citizen of the United States. I asked permission if I could go to Alexandria and apply for citizenship. They said, sure. So one of the sergeants actually, I got permission to be driven over there and apply for citizenship. So I went over there, applied, but I went like on a Monday morning, applied for citizenship, went through some, on that one day, I just went through some of the tests, like if I knew how to speak English, if I believed in this, and, you know, different things, if I believed in the Constitution of the United States. And they said, I mean, this was just one morning. And to what I understand, some of these people in other areas, they go to, it's almost like weeks and weeks. But I went through one morning. And they said, after that, I think maybe about a half hour, an hour, I waited. Then all of a sudden, they come back on Friday to take your oath. But I just couldn't believe it. That was the fastest time. So I went back to base, and I said, well, I go back on Friday, take my oath. So my officer, my company commander, he drove me plus the sergeant, my first sergeant, come with me on Friday, and that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So, so on Friday, on Monday I applied, and on Friday I took my took my oath and became a citizen. So all of a sudden I received a set of orders: go to Korea, and that was, especially when I found out uh, you got orders, and I figured, oh, I guess I'm going to Vietnam. I found out you're going to Korea, so I went to Korea, and I was on border patrol. Just actually, what it was actually on a helicopter, sitting on a helicopter, and what it was is actually border patrol. Get on a helicopter, start at one end, and fly to the other end, and coming back. Every so often, we got a pot shot. You know what a pot shot is? Every so often, we got the North Koreans were taking shots at us, not hitting anyone, but they were trying to start a war because they were shooting at us. But as long as we didn't shoot back, that did not create anything, because if they were waiting for us to shoot back so that they could say we're shooting at them, which we're actually breaking the treaty.
What year was that?
Oh, that was, I believe, in '66. That was in 1966. I left Korea, got home. I had 30 days leave, and after being at home for about a week and a half, something like that, week and a half, somebody knocking on the door. He was a second lieutenant. So I opened the door, and he asked me my name. He asked me if I would show my identification. I did. So I let him inside, and he asked if he could sit down. So he sat down. He opened up his case, attaché case. He opened it up. He had a lock on it. It's really, it was really strange. But I was going to go back to Fort Dix, New Jersey. And first, But then he opened it up. He says, congratulations, I have a change of orders for you to go to sunny Vietnam. At first, I was scared. I was scared to death. But it was fear. But as soon as how to describe it, it's like the very first thing is like, I'm going to die. I won't make it. I'm not coming home. But as time went on, it's just anytime we went out, it's like you already know. It's like you're telling yourself, I'm not coming home. For a while there, I was like, we knew we were going out on patrol or an ambush, and it's like I started to write letters to my mom. I started to write letters to my girlfriend, and it's like I figured, well, I better not, because they're going to be scared as heck, because for me itself. And I just dare not to send it out. My mom may die. She may get a heart attack. I'm tired of being a ground pounder, being on the ground and all. I think I'll become a door gunner on a helicopter. That was a goof, because those guys get shot at all the time. So I became a door gunner. So yeah, I think about 5.5 months or so, I was a door gunner. And while being a door gunner, you have a harness around you. the reason for the harness is you get shot, you don't fall out and into the jungles. Well, that one time was enough because a bullet came right through the floor, and it hit me. And getting shot is like getting hit with a truck. And when that bullet hit me, the pilot said I was just hanging there. Because actually it hit me, I guess it knocked me out too, because I was just dangling there. And because I was firing away, because we were being shot at, and I was just shooting around, shooting straight down. They put me into the hospital. Then they couldn't take the bullet out. They took me to Okinawa. From Okinawa, they took me to Great Lakes Naval Hospital, and that's where I met my wife. She was a nurse.
What are the kinds of things, what would you want to say to them? How would you want to end your visit with a classroom of students?
I guess one of the big thing is, I would tell them is war is hell. And war is, it's, you think about dying. Do I want to die? No, I want to die. Do I want to get shot? No, I don't want to get shot. Because all it takes is one bullet. And that's pretty well all over with. But it also takes one bullet that you may never ever walk again. One bullet that you may, well, like it may put you in a wheelchair. It may leave you as a cripple for the rest of your life. Like right now, we look at soldiers coming back. No legs, no arms. As I look at back, I just thank God that I came back. Don't mind me, I'm about ready to. I could feel tears in my eye, just thinking back. But I just thank God I'm alive and I came back. And some of my friends, as I was in Washington, D.C., and I was wheeled into the wall, to the Vietnam Wall. And the one spot where I actually was at the spot where some of my friends were actually killed, and their names were on there, and I noticed those names, and I actually broke down. I just couldn't bear it no more. I mean, they fell, and I'm here.